The world turns its attention today, September 5, 2025, to the rugged, windswept landscape of Alaska. Split-screen Trump and Putin over Alaskan wilderness, two leaders set to meet. On one side, Donald J. Trump, the 47th President of the United States, a figure who defied political norms to reclaim the White House. His presidency, America First doctrine. His presidency, a transactional approach to foreign policy. His presidency, a history of both challenging and courting his Russian counterpart. On the other side, Vladimir Putin, long-serving president of the Russian Federation. He has presided over Russia for more than 2 decades, steering Russia through economic turmoil and international isolation to reassert global influence. Putin, former intelligence officer, calculated and strategic, skeptical of Western intentions. This summit is not happening in a vacuum. It comes amid profound global instability and shifting alliances. The ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe remains a raw, bleeding wound demanding urgent attention. Tensions in the Asia-Pacific region are simmering, with traditional power dynamics questioned. This meeting is more than a conversation between two men. It is a potential pivot point for diplomacy. It could de-escalate rising tensions, or it could throw gasoline on a smoldering fire. The stakes could not be higher. The personal history between these two leaders adds another layer of complexity and intrigue. Now, as they prepare to meet once again, the world watches and waits, or simply another enigmatic chapter. The geopolitical significance of the Northern Crossroads. The choice of Anchorage, Alaska, as the venue for this high-stakes summit is far from accidental. It is a decision loaded with powerful symbolism and strategic calculation for both Washington and Moscow. For the United States, hosting the meeting on American soil projects an image of control and leadership. It subtly places President Trump in the position of the host dictating the terms. Yet, by choosing its most remote state, the administration signals a willingness to meet Russia halfway, literally and figuratively. Alaska is the only part of the United States that shares a maritime border with Russia, a physical reminder of their proximity and shared destiny as northern neighbors. From a Russian perspective, Alaska holds a unique and poignant place in its national consciousness. The territory was once part of the Russian Empire. It was sold to the United States in 1867 for a mere $7.2 million. That historical footnote has fueled nationalist nostalgia and occasional regret in Russia. Beyond symbolism, the location underscores the growing strategic importance of the Arctic. Climate change is melting polar ice caps. New shipping lanes like the Northern Sea Route are opening up. Oil, gas, rare earth minerals. Finally, practical and security considerations make remote Anchorage appealing. Washington, D.C., Moscow. It is in essence a neutral ground on American soil. At the very top of the agenda is the critical issue of strategic security and arms control, a topic that has haunted U.S.-Russia relations for decades. The framework of treaties that once provided a fragile sense of stability during the Cold War has largely crumbled. With the demise of agreements like the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces or INF Treaty and the uncertain future of others, both nations are modernizing their nuclear arsenals at an alarming pace. President Trump will likely approach this with a deal-maker's mindset, seeking a grand bargain that includes China and addresses new technologies like hypersonic missiles. Vladimir Putin, meanwhile, sees the erosion of these arms control treaties as a direct result of American unilateralism and will arrive in Anchorage demanding a return to a more predictable, legally binding security architecture. He is deeply concerned about the placement of U.S. missile defense systems near Russia's borders, viewing them not as defensive, but as a direct threat to his country's nuclear deterrent. The ongoing conflict in Eastern Europe will cast a long and dark shadow over the security talks. This remains the most significant point of friction between Russia and the West. President Trump, who has expressed skepticism about the level of U.S. commitment to European security in the past, may see an opportunity to broker a deal that could lead to a de-escalation of the conflict. He might be willing to offer concessions in exchange for a tangible Russian pullback, seeking a win that he can claim his predecessors were unable to achieve. He will firmly resist any American pressure that feels like an ultimatum, and will likely reiterate his position that the conflict is a complex issue that cannot be solved by external dictates. The challenge for both leaders will be to find a narrow path for dialogue on this issue, without immediately hitting a diplomatic dead end, a task that has proven impossible in recent years. Another cornerstone of the summit's agenda will be the global energy market. The United States-Russia wield immense power and influence. As two of the world's largest producers of oil and natural gas, Their policies can cause significant ripples across the global economy. President Trump has long championed a policy of energy dominance, seeking to maximize American fossil fuel production and exports. He will likely arrive at the summit with the goal of coordinating production levels to ensure stable but favorable oil prices. He understands that high gasoline prices are a political liability at home, but prices that are too low can harm the profitable American shale industry. Vladimir Putin's objectives in the energy sphere are linked to the health of the Russian economy, which remains heavily dependent on hydrocarbon exports. For him, stable and relatively high energy prices are not just a matter of corporate profit. They are a matter of national budget stability and funding for his domestic and foreign policy ambitions. The discussion will almost certainly extend to the fierce competition over the European natural gas market. For years, Russia has been the dominant supplier to the continent, giving it significant political leverage. The United States has been trying to counter this by promoting its own liquefied natural gas exports. The Alaskan setting guarantees that the Arctic will be a central theme of the summit. This vast, icy region is rapidly transforming into a new arena for geopolitical competition, and both leaders know it. President Trump sees the Arctic through the lens of economic opportunity and national security. He is interested in unlocking the region's immense reserves of oil, gas, minerals to fuel American industry and reduce reliance on foreign resources. Vladimir Putin views the Arctic as a region of vital strategic importance to Russia's future. Russia has the world's longest Arctic coastline. Putin has invested heavily in building a string of military bases, icebreakers, deep-water ports along the northern sea route. He envisions this route as a future global shipping artery that will rival the Suez Canal, and he wants to control the traffic that passes through it. A major point of contention will be the web of international sanctions imposed on Russia. These sanctions have targeted key sectors of the Russian economy, the energy industry, the financial industry. Putin will arrive in Anchorage with a clear objective: to secure some form of sanctions relief. For President Trump, the sanctions represent a powerful bargaining chip. Trump views them as leverage to be traded in a negotiation. That move would be deeply controversial. Ultimately, this summit is a convergence of two distinct and powerful agendas driven by the unique personalities and political needs of each leader. For Donald Trump, the primary goal is to project an image of strength and successful deal-making on the world stage. He thrives on high-profile, one-on-one negotiations where he can be seen as the central figure shaping global events. A successful outcome for him would be a tangible, easily communicated agreement, a Trump-Putin deal, that he can present as a historic breakthrough. Whether it's a new arms control framework, a pact on oil prices, or a de-escalation in a conflict zone, the specifics are less important than the perception of a personal victory. Vladimir Putin's agenda, while equally ambitious, is rooted in a different set of priorities. His foremost goal is to break Russia out of the international isolation imposed by Western powers. A summit with the American president on an equal footing is a major victory, conferring legitimacy and affirming Russia's status as a great power. To managed competition. As the summit in Anchorage concludes, the world will be watching for signals that indicate which direction this critical relationship is heading. One possible outcome is a joint statement announcing a strategic stability dialogue. This would be a modest but significant success, creating a formal channel for military experts, diplomatic experts to discuss arms control, hypersonic weapons, and space militarization. A more ambitious and far more controversial outcome would be a grand bargain. President Trump could announce a surprise deal that links sanctions relief for Russia to a verifiable withdrawal of forces from a contested area or a binding commitment on energy policy. This would be hailed by Trump as a masterstroke of deal-making, but would undoubtedly trigger a political firestorm in Washington and among NATO allies. Conversely, the summit could easily end in a stalemate, producing little more than a polite press conference and vague promises to continue discussions. In this scenario, the meeting would be largely performative, a photo opportunity that changes nothing on the ground, which will tell us whether this meeting in the last frontier was a historic turning point